Hello everyone, welcome to Zaref Game Dev. In this video, I am going to create the matching dinosaurs game in Unity. So this is how the game is going to look. So let's first start by creating the design document. So in the design document, let's see how the game is going to be played. So the basic outline of the game is it will have a 3x4 board like shown here, 3 columns and 4 rows, and there are 12 cells, and each cell is in the unrevealed state at the beginning, and it will contain a random dinosaur, and a matching pair will be present in any other cell. And in the first turn, and when we click a card, if it is the first turn, then it will show the card, and if it is second turn, then we'll check if both the pairs matches, and if both the pairs match, then we'll show that card, and the game is finished when we have revealed all the cards. So that was just for the basic rules of the game. Now let's see what elements we'll need in the Unity editor. So the first we have the gameplay scene, the whole scene in which we are going to create it, and there is the title text, which is the matching dinosaurs, the start and the quit button, and there will be a game manager, and these are all the cards. So only the cards are needed, and it is either prefab, and we'll duplicate it and make a board prefab out of it. So only this one card prefab is needed. So let's see how we'll create all those elements. So let's go into visual scripting. There's a start uh, all the up till this portion. I copied it from the previous video because we did it similar, only the title is different. So first we created a gameplay scene, and in the gameplay scene we have the main camera, and in main camera, if the background is not set to solid color, then change it to solid color. So we have pure white background, and then we'll add a title text which will say matching dinosaurs and place it correctly. And then we'll change the canvas. So canvas scales with the screen size. So that will do the render mode screen space camera, and set the render camera to the main camera, and set the scale mode to match scale with screen size, and the reference resolution is going to be the 1080 by 1920, and uh, will match width or height to the screen match mode, or it will not scale uniformly. So it works on all screen sizes. And then we have the restart and the quit button, in which its listeners are in the game manager script, and the game manager script has the game quit and the game restart function. And then we'll have the board prefab. The board prefab is made out of multiple cards, which is also a prefab. And the card prefab, we need to click it. So it will have box collider 2D, and trigger will set to 2. And we click it, we need to check the tag. So we'll add a tag, and the tag will be card. And we'll add a script to it. And the script is going to be the card script. And we'll add animator later on. So instead of clicking and showing images, we can animate it. Now, inside the card script, what we need to know is the first boolean. So if it is clicked, so when we click it second time, if the card is similar, we can hide it. And if the turn is finished, so that card is already used, so it will be another boolean. Both will be public because you need to access in the game manager, and each card will have an index. So for each index, we'll have a matching dinosaur, and we'll use the dinosaurs index as an int too. So the int index is going to be the index of the cells. So there are 3x4, 12 indexes, and the dinosaur index is going to be the number of dinosaurs. So which dinosaur it is. So it will be the we have 6 dinosaurs, as have seen it, as we have added all the sprites. So there will be 6 dinosaurs, and we'll add the 6 sprites to it. And there will be another integer for dino, which is in the previous video, we did it for uh, that goldfish, shark, and normal goldfish, shark, and normal fish. So in here we have multiple dinosaurs, but we won't create uh, in enum for that. So we'll just use the integers, and depending on the integers, we'll set its dino integer. And in the awake method, we'll get the dino, so which dinosaur it is. So which will create it in the game manager. And there are the two methods. The first one is the play turn, which will set the image to depending on the which dinosaur it is, and remove turn, which will set the image to the unrevealed state. So that was for the card script. Now let's go to the game manager script. So in the game manager script, first we'll have the game restart function, then we'll have the game quit function, and we need to access the game manager. So in variables, we'll have has game finished, and the turns are different. So we'll add another boolean, and it will be a first turn. We need to create a board. So we'll create a board script, and it will be a default class, and we'll set it in the awake function, and we'll need to get a reference to the first card. So we need to match we need to unreveal it, so we'll get a reference to the first card. And the game manager, we need to access it from anywhere, so we'll make it public static, and that's of the type game manager, and it's called instance. So in the awake method, we'll first set the board, then set the game finish to false, and the turn is going to be the first turn, and set the instance to this. And if instance is equals to null, then we'll set instance to this, else we'll destroy the game object. Now let's go into the update function. So before going to the update function, let's see how the board script is going to work. So the board is going to have just two properties. The first one is going to be the matches, which we'll use in the update choice. So in update choice, we'll increase the match, and we'll return if the matches is equal to 6. So if the number of matches reaches 6, then the game is finished. Then we have a list of choices, and they are of the type int. So the choices will say on each index which dinosaur is present, and each dinosaur is represented by an integer. So on each index, we have an integer representing which dinosaur is present. So we'll create that list in the constructor. So inside the board constructor, we have 6 dinosaurs. So let's add 6 dinosaurs to the list. So that's going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the list. 0 to 5 to the list, and we'll add it twice because we need a matching pair. So the list is created, and initially the matches is set to 0. Now we need the list to be at the random position. So we'll shuffle the list, and we'll see it in the scripting how we'll shuffle the list. And then we have a method to get the dinosaur, which is at the get index, and that's the index of the dinosaur, and we'll pass a parameter. The parameter is going to be the index of the cell, and it will return the choices at index. So it will return the number which is at that index. So that was for the board script. Now in a card script, in the start function, we'll get that get index, and we'll set the dinosaur to it. So we'll get the dinosaur. Now let's see how the update function is handled. So in update function, uh, some of the blocks I've copied it from the previous code because it's similar. So if it check if the mouse button is pressed, then we'll check for game over, then we'll return it. Then we'll do a raycast 2D, and then we'll check if it is hit. And if it is not hit, then again we'll return it. And if it is hit, then we'll check if whatever it is hit has its turn finished. So we don't need to click it. When the turn is finished, we don't need to click it. So we'll return it again. Now, depending on the first turn, first time we have revealed it, or the second time, we'll do the following code. So if it is the first turn, then we'll update the turn, and we'll set the first, which is of the type card with reference to the card, and we'll reference it here. So we'll set the first two card. Else, then if it is the second turn, so we'll add this functionality later. So let's see if it is the second turn, then we'll just do second dot update turn. We'll update it and we'll remove from the first and the second turn. So we are just removing it. Now we'll add the conditions, uh, every condition here. So before updating the second turn, we'll check if the second turn has clicked. So if it has clicked, then we'll remove turn from the first and second turn and change the first turn to false. So first turn to true. So we can click a card again and we'll return it. It is returned. Now, if it is not clicked, then we'll update the second turn. And when we update it afterwards, before removing from the first and the second, if it matches, so when it matches, there are going to be two possibilities. It matches and the game is finished, and it matches and nothing happens. So we don't need to uh, remove turn from the first and the second. So in this block, if it matches, then we'll return it and it's going to return nothing. But before that, before we return, we'll set the turn finished or the first and the second to true, and we'll check if the game is finished, which is the condition from my board dot update choice. So if it is finished, it will increase the number of matches and returns the number of matches is 6. So if it is not 6, it will not show. Then we'll change the turn. We don't need to do anything if the game has not finished, because we have already shown both the cards and we need it to be shown afterwards. But if the game is finished, then we'll set the has game finished to true and we'll return it. So it will finish this code block. Now, whenever we click anything else, the game over is going to return. So we won't get anything and we'll need to restart the game. And whenever everything is finished, when nothing is returned, so nothing when it is going to return nothing, here first, if check valid turn. So if it is not valid turn, it is going to return nothing. Then if it is the first turn, then here it returns nothing. So when this code block is executed, we need to change the turn because we have not changed the turn here. So it will always go to the first turn. So we'll do it after it's if. And in the second turn, when we remove, then also we'll need to change the turn. So let's see how we'll create this in Unity. And whenever I want to create a script or how I'm going to create the logic of it, I'll refer to it and see if the logic is correct, and it will be easier for me to code it. So let's go into Unity and see how it is created. So I've opened an empty Unity project here. I've deleted the sample scene and created a new scene and called it gameplay, and we'll set its resolution to 1080 by 1920. And inside the main camera, the clear fags is solid, and let's set it to white. So that's how we'll look here. Now let's add the title first. So let's go into UI and text and call it title, and we'll call it matching dinosaurs. Let's set it to bold, the size to be 72, go towards the center, and let's set the height to be 1000 by 120, and let's go inside the game view, position it towards the bottom. Let's position it 00 first and change the Y pose to 75. Now it's matching correctly. So that was it for the title. Now let's create a button, and the button is going to be the start function, and let's set the color to transparent so we can only see the text. and let's set its size to 500 by 120, and let's position it towards the top, 0 0. And inside the start function, let's set up the text first. So this one is going to say start, hit bold, and 72. It's already at the center. Now let's position the start. So the position is going to be -75, and let's position towards the left at -400. Now let's duplicate this start and rename it to quit. And inside quit, we just need to change the text. So this one is quit, and let's position it at +400, and we'll change the text to quit. Uh, that's the starting screen. Now let's create the game manager. I already created the game manager script. So we'll create an empty and call it game manager. And inside game manager, let's reset its transform, and we'll add the game manager script to it. So we can add it by searching, or we'll just click and drag to the game manager. So let's check play. Everything is working correctly. So everything is working all right. Now let's add the functionality to the start and the quit button. Now let's save the scene and let's open the Visual Studio Editor. So in Visual Studio Editor, we'll delete the start and the update function. We'll call it afterwards. So the first one is going to be the public void game start, game restart, and the second function is going to be the public void game quit. So in public void game restart, we'll do Unity engine dot scene management dot scene manager dot load scene 0. We have only one scene and the index starts with 0. So this one is going to be the 0. And in quit, we'll do application dot quit. And we'll need to get a condition for the Unity editor. So hashtag if Unity / editor. Then we'll do Unity editor dot editor application dot is playing to false, and we'll add and if. So these are the game restart and the game quit functions. Now let's add those functions to the both the buttons. So let's go inside Unity and let's go to the start, and inside on click event, let's add the game manager object and set the function to game restart, and inside quit on click event, set the game manager to game quit. So we are already did in before two games, so it is similar. Now we have created the game manager, and let's see if it is working correctly. So when we press start, the scene here should refresh. The gameplay should be, and when we press quit, quits the game. So that was just it. Let's get the sprites. Let's see how it's working. So I'll get the sprites from wherever I've stored it. Let me get my sprites inside. So these are the 6 sprites I'll be using, and it has a size of 240 by 240. Uh, the import parameters, or however we are going to import settings, are going to be the same. I'm going to change anything. So let's first create the card prefab. So we'll drag and drop the 00. We'll rename it to card, and we won't do anything but save it as a prefab first and delete it from here. Open it in the scene and let's start editing it. So first we need a box collider 2D component, and this trigger is set to true. Don't have any physics material or anything else. So this is the default card. Then we'll add an animator and let's create its animator controller. So let's create animator controller and call it card controller, and let's set the card controller as the animator controller for this animator, and let's create an animation for it so we can see how it works. So inside the card, let's open animation and let's click the card and let's click create. So we'll call it idle, and idle is not going to do anything and it's going to be the default state. Set the sample size to 2 because it's going to be the same state, and inside the scene, let's see if it is working. So when we press play, the animation should play. Let's click the card and the animation correctly. Samples are not 2. The samples are 2. It doesn't change anything, so we won't be able to see the difference. So we'll add the different animations later, which are going to be the reveal and the unreveal. Now inside the car we have the collider card, we have the collider, the box collider 2D. Now let's add the tag to it and we'll simply call it card, and let's set the tag of the card. Now let's create a script and attach the script to the card game object and call it card, and attach card to the card script. Let's add component and card. Now this object is created. Now let's create an empty game object and we'll call it board, and we'll save it as a prefab. And now let's start editing the board. So let's open the board first and add the card, create it twice and set the expose to 3 and again to -3. So we'll get a row of 3 calls and duplicate it multiple times. Need 4 of them. So the last one, let's get the next 3 and let's set it y position 3, and the next 3 the y position 3, and in the last 3 we'll set the y position to -6. So the card doesn't have any functionality yet, but the board is going to be similar. So let's see what we know, what we need to do inside the card. So we have the tags, we added the box collider 2D. So we need to do is change the card script. So before changing the card script, let's create the board and we'll get the references to the board in the game manager script, and we'll add other functionalities in the card later. So let's go into scripting. So let's go inside Visual Studio, and before going into Visual Studio, let's create the board script first. So inside scripts, create a C# script and call it board, and then we'll open it inside Visual Studio. So now let's go into Visual Studio and let's open the board script, and let's also open the card script in it. So we are the game manager. Now let's add the awake method, and in the awake method first we'll need public static game manager instance, and in the awake method we'll set up the instance. So if instance is equals to null, then instance is equals to this, else destroy game object. So we need only one instance, so we can refer it from anywhere. Now we need a new board, so let's create the board first. We don't need these two methods, and don't need it to be inherited from one of behavior. So the board, we have seen it in the design script. The board had two variables. The first one is the matches, so it's an int, and let's call it matches. And the second is a list of int, and they are choices. And let's create the constructor, so public board, and inside the constructor we'll set matches is equals to 0, and choices is equals to new list of type int. So we have an empty list of integer type, and the matches are set to 0. Now we need to add all the indexes of the dinosaurs into the list. So each choices is an integer which corresponds to a different dinosaur. So we have 6 dinosaurs. So let's do for int I is equals to 0, I less than 6, I plus plus. So it will add 0 to 5. And in here we'll say choices dot add and I. And we'll do it 2 times. So let's copy paste it. So we have added both the choices. Now we are doing it 6 times, so it will add 0 0 1 1 till 5 5. Now the choices are added. Now we need to shuffle it. So to just shuffle it, we'll do for int I is equals to 0, I less than choices dot count, and I plus plus. So let's get the choices of I, and let's put it inside a temporary variable, and we'll set the choices of I to be a random uh, choices at a random index. So let's get the index, and we'll call it random dot range, and the range is going to 0 from choices dot count. And we'll set the choices at that index, choices at I, choices at that index. Okay, choices at I to be choices at index, and the choices at index going to swap with choices of I, but now choices of I is choices of index. So we have stored it inside temp, and we'll get it as temp. So that was just for the board. It will set up the choices, and will randomly shuffle it, and the matches are set to 0. Now we need two functions inside the board script. The first one is going to be the get index, public int get index, and inside we'll get an index, and we'll return the choices at that index. So it will return an index of the dinosaur. So whatever dinosaur is at that index, it will return it. And the second one is going to be public bool, and we'll call it update choice. So this one is going to be updated. Uh, Return matches is equals to 6. So this one will update whenever the choices match. We'll create it in the game manager, and we'll do matches plus plus because the matches are matched. We need to increase the match by 1. And when the number of matches reaches 6, we'll return true and end the game if the game has ended. So that was for the game manager. Let's see inside card. So inside the card script, we'll have first the variables, and we'll have two booleans, and they are going to be public goal has clicked and has turn finished, and both are going to be false in the start function. So has clicked is equals to false, has turn finished is equals to false, and we don't need to show it inside inspector, so we'll add hide in inspector. Now the second one is going to be the int index, which stores the index of whatever cell is it, and we'll make it serialized field because we need to get the index, type it inside. So, and the next one is going to be the public int dino, which dinosaur it is, and then we'll have serialized field, and it's going to be sprite, and that sprite is going to be the unrevealed sprite. It's only one sprite, and we don't need to change it depending on the index, so we'll add it a single sprite. And the second one is going to be a list of sprites, and we'll call it dinos. So the first one is a dino, second one is a dino. So we'll get, if we put dino inside dinos, so if we get the index of the dinosaur, the dinos list, we'll get that sprite, and we can set the sprite depending on the index of the dinos. And for to change the sprite, we need to add the sprite renderer, and we'll just call it renderer, and let's get the animator too, and we'll call it animator. Now inside the awake update function, we set the has clicked and has turned finished to true, and dino is going to be at the game manager dot in dot we didn't create the board yet, so let's create the board inside game manager, and let's make it public. So public of type board, and we'll call it my board. And inside the awake, let's say my board is equals to new board. Now there's nothing to change in the board. Instance dot my board, and we'll get index, and the index is going to be the index of the dinosaur at the index of the cell. So get index will return an index of the dinosaur, and the index we are passing is the index of the cell. So don't get confused between it. So we have the dinos, and then let's get the renderer. So renderer equals to get component renderer, get component sprite renderer, and the animator is going to be the get component animator. So it's working correctly. Now when the game is clicked, we need to set the renderer dot sprite equals to unrevealed. So we'll set the sprite to unrevealed, and don't need the update function. We'll need the update turn functions, so we'll call it public void update turn, and the update turn will say has clicked is equals to true, and we'll make it a function, so we'll call it public void update image, because we need to call this function in the animator. We don't need to change the image at the start. We need to change when the animation is. So we'll call update image here, and update image will do renderer dot sprite is equals to dinos of dino. Let's create two more functions. So this one is the update turn, and let's do remove turn re here. We'll do has click to false, and whenever remove turn, instead of update image, we'll do remove image, and the sprite is going to be the unrevealed. And let's call remove. So these are the functions which will need to check. Now we have the board, can get the board. Game manager is all, and let's see if it works correctly. There are no errors in the compiling first. Let's go inside Unity and let's add all the first. So the first one is right, which is oh, the dinos is going to be a this length. This 0 to 6 hours. Two. And inside the game view, okay, so inside the game view, set the board size to 0.5 by 0.5, and let's position the board a little bit upward. Okay. And when we play, there are no correctly. So let's see if that update board is working or the update image. So let's call update image here. So we'll call update turn, and it will just update the turn for everything. Let's hit play. Okay, we need to change the indexes of the individual boards. So let's go inside the board prefab, and let's change the index of everything, and inside the board prefab. First card has an index of 0. This card has an index of 0. This should have an index of 1. This should have an index of 2. This should have an index of 0, 1, 2. This should have an index of 4. If 7, 9, 10, 11. So we have set up the index to work correctly, and the 6 pairs. Oh, okay. Uh, let's play it again. Then why were there 3 again? And everybody, I don't know why that happened. See there, maybe there was happen. So we have an average. Let's play start again. And Every pair has a match and is randomly generated. So whenever we restart the game, we can see a random. Let's quit the game. So that was it for the card script, and let's do the game manager now. So we just need to check the if the turn is pressed. So we just need to compare tag. So let's go inside game manager. Let's go inside Visual Studio, and inside game manager we have public board, my board, and we'll have the bool. The boolean are going to be the bool as game finished, and the another one is going to be the is first turn. As game finished is going to be false at the beginning, so has game finished false, and is first turn is going to be true because we need to begin, and then we'll need a reference to the first card. So we'll card first, and it's not set up in the awake function, and nothing else is needed. So let's go inside the update function. Awake. Let's go into update, and the first thing is we are going to check if the mouse button is pressed. So if put dot get mouse button down of 0, then we'll do the following thing. So first we'll check if game has finished. So as game finished is true, then we'll just return. If game has finished, then we'll return, and we'll do a raycast if game is not finished. So let's get the vector 3 first. Call it mouse pose. Get from camera dot main dot screen to world point. Put dot position wherever we are clicking, and we'll make it a vector 2, and we'll call it mouse 3, and it will be a new vector 2, and inside the x coordinate we'll say mouse pose dot x, and inside the y coordinate we'll say mouse pose y. Now let's create the raycast. So it is going the raycast hit 2D. Let's call it hit physics 2D dot raycast, and we need to start from post 2D to vector 2 dot 0. Then we can get the hit. Now let's see if not hit, then we'll return. So if not hit, so if not hit dot collider, then we'll return. It simply return. Then if it is hit, then we'll check if hit dot collider dot game object hit dot collider, no game object, we just need to do compare tag, and the tag is going to be card, C capital, and whenever the card is similar, we'll check if turn is finished. So if the turn is finished, then we'll do nothing, and if the turn is not finished, then if it is the first turn, then we'll set the first to hit dot collider dot game object dot get component. Component is going to be the card, We'll call first dot update turn. We'll call update turn from here. Let's delete the update turn in the function. First turn is not going to change, so let's see if it is working. So let's go inside unit and let's start playing. So let's play. Whenever you click, it update everything. Now that was just for the first turn. If it is not first turn, else, and we'll change the is first turn equals to not is first turn. We'll switch the turn, and we'll say hard second is equals to hit dot collider dot game object dot get component. Component is going to card. Got the second card, and if second dot has clicked is clicked, and let's first we'll check if the second is clicked. Then if it is clicked, then we'll do first dot remove turn, and we'll do second dot remove turn, and we don't need to do anything, so we'll return the statement, and turn is not going to change because we return it here, so we need its first turn to not. So let's go inside Unity. Again, just forget to change. So what we did was just if it is the first turn, then we updated the turn. We have seen. If it is the second turn, then we'll create a new card of new card. We get a reference to the card, store it in a new object, new variable called second, and if it is already clicked, then we'll remove the turn from the first and the second. So instead, if it is not clicked, and we'll do second dot update turn. So we'll update the turn, and if both are similar, so first dot dino equals to dot dino, then we'll do my board dot update choice, and if it is true, then we'll do has game finished to true, and we'll return it from. So the game is finished, and before that we need to do first dot has turn finished to true, and second dot has turn finished to true. So we won't click that card again. We updated the turn, turned it. Now if both are equal, then we need to end the script here. So we'll need to change the turn. This first turn, this first turn, and we need to, if it is not equal, and we need to first dot remove turn, and dot remove turn. So the turns are removed, the matching is finished, and the turn is updated. So let's see if it works in Unity. Let's go inside Unity and let's click play. Working. Click it again, so it just shows one. This both are matching. Can't click it again. Different are matching. Both are matching. We can't click it again. Already in the also matching. Also a match. Last one is can't click again. We need to start the game again. So the turn is so everything is working correctly. What we did in the design was completely fine. We didn't need to change anything. And if it is not working fine, we'll set up the design such that may work, because we are just checking the conditions and seeing the flow of the code where it is working correctly. So now let's set up the animations. The coding part is done. Now let's create the animations for the cards. So inside card, let's go into the prefabs and let's open the card prefab. Let's bring inside an tab here. And we just have one idle animation. We'll create a new, we'll call it reveal. And the reveal animation, let's go inside animator. We don't need it to loop. And let's add a transform property, the rotation, and add not inside idle. Let's remove inside reveal. We'll add the transform rotation property and at 30th frame, we'll set the rotation to 90. Let's see how it works. Okay, correctly. And I think we change the loop time for the idle, and then idle as loop. Reveal does not have loop. Let's click the card and go inside the scene. Let's change it to reveal. Okay. And let's add an event. That event is going to be in the reveal. It is going to be update image. Let's create new animation and we'll call it unreveal. And inside unreveal, we'll have a transform rotation property and add frame 30. Add wheel, transform rotation property, set it to 90, and we'll add an event. Event is going to be the remove. Let's go inside card, the idle, reveal, create image, and unreveal. It has the remove. Now let's set the looping to false. Add the reveal loop to false. Idle we need to loop, and reveal we don't need. Missions are set. Let's close the tab and let's go inside the editor. Let's go inside Visual Studio, and instead of clicking update image here, we'll call the respective animations. So we'll stay here We already referenced the animator.play, and the name is going to be reveal, and we need to add additional parameters. So whenever it is revealed, it starts from the beginning. Let's copy it again. Instead of remove image, we'll call animator.reveal. And it is working. It should work correctly. The animator is referenced and we are getting the animator. Instead of the update image, it is called from the animation. Now let's see if it is working in Unity. So let's go inside Unity and let's click play. So let's see if the animations are working first. Whenever I click, okay, it is not revealed. Both are revealed. Luck is good. Now let's click another one. Let's see if it works. So we have clicked all the objects. Now none of the animation is going to play because the as game finished boolean is set to true. So we'll need to restart the game again. So let's hit start. Let's play the game again. If there are any bugs. So the game is working perfectly fine. We have created the matching dinosaurs game. You can create different matching shapes, matching colors, or any match game and add the respective animations or anything. So that was it for this video. So if you did like the video, do like and subscribe the channel. And any of you is watching seriously or want to get the packages for it, so comment in the comment section below. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.